fruits of their prescribed duties, and I am their only goal. The remaining three kinds of devotees aspire for results, of all which have transient natures. Only those who are enlightened will attain liberation, and such enlightened ones do not worship Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and other deities, but worship only me as the supreme. O Arjun, this is the special characteristic of my devotee.
Again, the same Mahabharata. Krishna is speaking the same thing. They do not worship Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, or anyone. And this can be seen directly in the verse. Where is it?
Srila
Yeah. Ekantinah shreshthas vai chananya devata. Chananya devata means unlimited demigods. So many yash chanyah devata smrtah. They don't remember the different demigods. All of this is here in this verse. Clear cut. And this is,
Lord Janardhan. Oh, did we read that one already?
I mean, it's a
Lord Jan
similar verse, but you can read it.
okay. Lord Janardhan is Purushottama, the one supreme soul of all living entities, and from whom appears Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. By taking his shelter alone, people attain liberation.
So this is in the Agama Pramanyam. I don't know the scripture, but it's written there as well. And yeah, this one. This is also a very interesting verse. It's actually interesting because this is how you understand that the forms of Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are not on an equal level with the Vishnu Tattva forms. Read this.
The three forms of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva arise from the great Vishnu. Vishnu takes the form of Brahma within Brahma and the form of Shiva within Shiva. The form of Vishnu is, however, situated separately.
Again, Vaman Puran. And now you see this one. This is where we come to, which is what you want.
Shruta Dev said there is seeming conflict in the Puranas only because of the difference in the arrangement of yugas and kalpas. You should not have any doubt about its authenticity of its narrations happen to involve apparent contradictions.
Yeah, this one also.
If one finds apparent contradictions in the Puranas, one should reconcile it based on the principle of kalpa beda,
Yeah, Kalpa Bhed.
bed narrations mentioned from the viewpoint of different kalpas or days of Lord Brahma.
Exactly. So there are no actually contradictions here. And this
Also, in like I think I read a verse in the first canto of Bhagavatam didn't the like because Vyasadeva is the author of all the scriptures and stuff, right?
yeah, yeah.
I think it was like the very first verse too. He said like he surrenders or something, or he accepts Lord Krishna as like the supreme personality or something, or like the
Yeah,
all
yeah.
causes of all causes.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
I
But
remember that.
yeah. So the problem with that is they think Bhagavatam is just one of the Puranas which you can just choose. And if we even quote that verse from Bhagavatam, sometimes they'll just say, oh, yeah, but that's because you accept Bhagavatam, we accept Shiv Puran. So they don't, because they don't read, they will not come to the same conclusion.
What is the verse in Gita that accepts only flowery words? That's
Exactly.
that's the verse.
Exactly. I should show this. Chapter 3, right? Yeah. I think that's chapter 2.
Well, like even the very author of all the scriptures said he surrenders to Lord Krishna and that he's the
Yeah.
cause of all causes. So
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know why they still argue sometimes.
Because they are again the thing is they're an ignorance, anyone who cannot see, person who is blind, no matter how much you try to describe something to them, they will not be able to accept it because they are blind. Just like this, men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, result in good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. So this was also, in fact, people usually overlook a very beautiful verse in the Bhagavad Gita, which is 15:15. It says, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto mattah smrtiज्ञानमापोहनं च vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedyo vedantakrit veda vedeva chaham. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedant, and I am the knower of the Vedas. And in the same chapter also, Because I am transcendental, beyond the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in this world and in the Vedas as that supreme person. Prathitaha Purushottamaha. So Krishna himself is declaring that he is that supreme personality of Godhead who is actually celebrated by everyone in the Vedas in this world.
Hmm.
You see, it's clearly mentioned here. Clearly, even if you don't accept the one from chapter 7, where it says, is it? Yeah. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung upon his head. There's no truth superior to me. And Arjun actually
Oh,
even
I
confirms
remember
this.
that.
Yeah, Arjun even confirms this fact in chapter 11 by saying you are. Well, or see, Arjun is confirming you are the father of this complete cosmic manifestation of the moving and the non-moving. You are its worshipable chief, the supreme spiritual master. No one is greater than you, nor can anyone be one with you. So Arjun is saying no one is greater than him, and no one can be equal to him. How then could there be anyone greater than you within the three worlds, O Lord of immeasurable power? He's declaring it here after being shown the universal form. You know, so all this is there. They just have to read, and this is the conclusion of this entire document. See this.
We read that one already, no?
No, not this one. It's a similar one,
By
but
sc-
it's a different, little bit different from the
by scrutinizing, I forgot how to say it again.
scrutinizingly.
Scrutinizingly reviewing all the revealed scriptures and judging them again and again, it is now concluded that Lord Narayan is the supreme absolute truth, and thus he alone should be worshipped. Leave aside all the other processes of expanding the meaning of the various scriptures, which simply bewilder the people. With one pointed, with one pointed devotion, always meditate on Lord Narayan.
Again. And there are many types of Vedic literatures and supplementary Puranas. In each of them, there are particular demigods who are spoken of as the chief demigods. This is just to create an illusion for moving and non moving living entities. Let them perpetually engage in such imaginations. However, when one analytically studies all these Vedic literatures collectively, not that you just choose one Puran and then, yeah, you stick with it. No, you have to study the Vedic literatures collectively. Then you come to a proper conclusion. He comes to the
Hmm.
conclusion that Lord Vishnu is the one and only supreme absolute personality of God. This is again said in Padma Purana. And then that's it. These are all the verses I've collected. And these also undoubtedly prove that there is no one equal to Krishna. No one. Not even Lord Shiva, not even Lord Brahma. If you want, I can share this.
Up to you.
Yeah, I'll share it again in the group for everyone to see. I sent it before also, but I'll send it again. So, Sami Prabhu, where did we leave off last time?
The last
I,
chapter.
I think
Or the last
I
chapter of the
think
entire Krishna book?
Yes, Prabhu.
I think the last part was when they brought back Devaki's dead children, no?
Okay,
Or
okay.
was it the one
Yeah,
after
yeah,
that, maybe?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Was there a reading session yesterday or no?
No.
I think so. No? Okay.
Okay, so then if not, then the last one we left off on was when Krishna brought back Devaki's dead sons.
Yes. Just a second.
We are at
The
the
one right after that.
we are at the prayers by the Vedas personified.
Okay.
Oh, that one's super long, no?
Yeah, it's really long, so we cannot read it at once. We have to read it in many parts.
Okay.
Okay.
So can you name the chapter number if
Maybe
possible?
because it's the volume 2. It's,
Oh,
no,
yeah. Sorry. Volume 2. Okay. So volume 2, chapter.
maybe something like 60 if there is. I'm not sure if there is chapter 60.
Did you all
Wait,
actually really finish it? Wow.
Sami
Okay. So,
Prabhu, was there a reading session yesterday?
No, Prabhu. It is chapter 32, prayers by the personified Vedas.
There we go.
Last one was the kidnapping of Subhadra, the Lord Krishna's visiting Shrutadeva and Bahulashva.
Yep, got it. Okay, there's still technically a long way to go.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prayers by the personified Vedas, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
32. Okay. So I'll share my
Wait,
screen.
was there a reading session yesterday?
Oh, Prabhu.
No, there wasn't a reading session yesterday.
Because I think, because I remember, actually, I think I might have missed it one. Never mind.
Okay. I'll share my screen then, and then we can just continue reading. Oh. Sami Prabhu, I think your next book will be Ishopanishad, right?
Maybe. I'm not yet decided. Because Vivek Prabhu asked for Nectar of Devotion.
Nectar of Devotion. That's a big one.
Yes, Prabhu. So I'm not yet decided. Maybe, yeah, I will think about it.
Yes, Prabhu. Like I'm thinking Vishwanath Prabhu also taking lectures for Istogoshti for weekly ones. So it is very hard to understand that chapter, that book. So if you read, it will be helpful for us. We can go together, so we can understand easily. I think so.
Nectar of Devotion is really just the translations of, or what do you call it? A summary study of Sri Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is very high knowledge.
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu. But Prabhu is giving Prabhu is explaining very nicely. So if we read with together, so we can understand very easily. I think so. So like what is it? Suggest. So what we see? What we'll do, Prabhu? What's your suggestions?
I don't know. I just want one of the HD books to be featured at least once in the reading sessions.
Hmm. Yes, Prabhu. What you can suggest, we can read that only, Prabhu. No problem.
If you want Nectar of Devotion, you can do Nectar of Devotion also. Not a big issue. But I think Sami Prabhu wanted to go for Bhagavatam, Canto 1.
Yes, Prabhu, but I'm not yet decided on that.
See,
Yes,
Prabhu,
Prabhu. We can
Bhagavatam,
go
see, Prabhu,
Bhagavatam.
Bhagavatam is just pastimes again.
Hmm.
You're gonna do the
Bhagavatam is
whole
also just
Bhagavatam?
pastime.
No,
Sorry?
You're gonna do all the cantos for Bhagavatam?
not in readings.
Oh,
Oh. Reading sessions, that will take a long time to finish, you know.
yeah.
Maybe Canto 1. Actually, Prabhu, Prabhupada made a book separately from Canto 2 of Bhagavatam called The Lord in the Heart, which is one of the chapters from Canto 2 of Srimad Bhagavatam, which was actually made as a separate book.
Oh, what is that? I've not seen that.
Really?
I never heard of that.
You can actually go for that then. So basically, there's a book called The Lord in the Heart, and it's named after a chapter from Canto 2 of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Can you show the? If
Yes,
Wait,
Prabhuji.
was it an original book or
Yes,
like
it's original. I'll show you. This one is The Lord in the Heart. This is directly taken from prabhupadmedia.net, all the original works of Srila Prabhupada, and this is at the very end here. You see, Srimad Bhagavatam, The Lord
oh,
in the Heart.
what
It's very
website
nice.
is that?
Sorry?
I think
Which website is that?
prabhupadmedia.net. Prabhupada-media.net.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can find it.
So this book.
maybe we have. I need to see.
Prabhu, can you send the link so I
Oh,
can
yes. Yes, of course, I'll send it.
we can download
Oh,
all.
I found it.
Yeah, I'll just send it in the chat also. You can just-
Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is also another possibility for you to go on to if you don't want to go with like full Bhagavatam, this is also another possibility.
Yes,
Oh wait, was this the website? I think I was watching a ISKM live. There was like it was like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur arguing with a Muslim scholar. Was this where you got the book from?
I think so.
I seen
Yes,
on the live.
articles. Yeah, articles of Vaishnava
It was,
Acharyas.
oh,
Prabhu, which site is this one, Prabhu?
I sent it on the chat, Prabhu. It's called prabhupadmedia.net. You can see it.
Okay, Prabhu, thank you.
Yes, Haribol. Or actually, you all can also read Light of the Bhagavat. It's also a very nice book.
we have read
First,
it.
already in the reading session.
Yes, Prabhu. We have read all these smaller books almost in the reading session.
Okay, maybe you can keep count. Maybe you can keep track of the count of how many books were read, or which books were read how many times.
Yes,
Which
every
way you can keep track.
mostly everything is read once.
Okay, of course, that is all obviously true.
Everything else but Bhagavatam is read once,
Oh wow. What about Bhagavad Gita?
2 times.
Okay, maybe you read it for a third time.
But I was thinking maybe one smaller book before that or something.
Okay. Then maybe have you read Mukundamala Stotra already? I think once already, right? Yeah, because you said all. Oh wait, did you read Narada Bhakti Sutra?
Yes, Prabhu.
Oh wow. Okay. What about the essays? Do you read the essays like these original like Prospectus League of Devotees 1953 or 2 essays and Who is Crazy? What is it? On pamphlet? All these things. What about the spiritual master and the disciple?
That was not Prabhupada's, that was something else, so we didn't read it yet.
Oh, okay, because this is compiled and edited by Shubhananda Das Brahmachari.
Yes, Prabhu, there was something, so I have not read yet.
Okay, this is on the page, so I think it should be authorized. But of course, you can always ask. Rajvidya, I think you've not read more than once. Rajavidya.
One time.
Okay, and Science of Self-Realization, how many times? One also? Or twice?
I think once.
Okay. Maybe you can go ahead with Science of Self-Realization and then you can begin Bhagavatam also.
Yes, Prabhu.
what about the teachings of Queen Kunti?
Teachings of
That one
Queen
too?
Kunti.
But we can also read it again. But we did read it once.
Maybe what we can do technically in the future when we have time, we can create a list of all these books that can be read in the reading sessions, and we can order them in such a way that we start with a nice book and then we can kind of continue, and then when we end we can start a new cycle in the same order.
Yes, Prabhu.
So at least you keep track of what is currently being read, what has been read already once. Of course, we already know that most books already read at least once or twice. So that's fine. You even also have Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita as it is.
Yes, Prabhu, but I have not even read it.
Okay, because this one is literally based on only quotes by Prabhupada. This is only works of Prabhupada. Based on all his conversations and everything, this is Lilamrita. Not a bad book, actually. Yeah, not at all. Very nice books. Elevation to Krishna consciousness, I think also already know once.
Where is the picture? Yes, Prabhu, that was a really nice one.
Oh, nice. Oh, have you read Transcendental Teachings of Prahlad Maharaj?
Yes, Prabhu.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay, there's really nothing then. Oh, Lord Chaitanya.
Wait,
Yes.
But
is there a website like to read all the Back to Godhead magazines?
Yes, it's called Back to Godhead.
This is what it's called.
Back to Godhead, like this. And then you have all these. But I don't know, like, I mean, we'll have to ask Advait Prabhu or His Grace Prahlad Bhakta Prabhu if we can read something from here. Because also some of them are also being published by
ISKCON?
Yeah, you can read those ones maybe that have been
Mm.
published by Prabhupada only, like the Disunited Nations, or Prabhupada speaks on plain living and high thinking, speaks out in the Tuileries Gardens, and all these other ones, very nice ones. Okay, anyway, no problem. But yeah, I think the Lord in the Heart is a nice one to go with.
Yes, Prabhu.
Oh.
I don't remember why we chose this Upanishad. There was some talk about something, but we have read it also, so we don't have to necessarily read that.
Okay.
But let's see.
I think Matchless Gift also, right? Already done once.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. All right. So who wants to start reading?
What about the path of perfection? Did
Yep.
you guys read that one?
But we can read that also, so maybe.
Okay, I'll make a list actually. We'll work with Sami Prabhu on this. But in the meantime, let's see. Who wants to start reading? Prayers by the personified Vedas.
I can read if you want.
Okay, Prabhu. So I'll just pull up the prayers. You can just chant them.
Oh, I don't know how to read the prayers.
That's how you practice, Prabhu. That's how you learn.
Oh.
Do you want me? You want me to practice now?
Doesn't matter, Prabhu. You can try. Or you do one thing. You simply repeat after me if that's okay.
Okay.
Om Ajnanatimirandhasya.
Oh, I can't do I can't do it. It's too hard.
Just repeat, Prabhu. Even if you can't read it properly, you can still try to use your hearing
Om
functionality to try.
Om Ajnana
Timirandhasya.
Timir wait, Timir Randasya.
Yes. See, just one thing. This is pronounced as Gya.
Yeah.
Gya. That's it. Om
Om Ag
Ajnanatimirandhasya.
Om Agnan
I am pronouncing
Timir.
it. See, I am pronouncing this as Gnya, but you can pronounce it as Gya also. No issues. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya.
Om Agyan Timirandasya
Jnananjana Shalakaya.
Janan Jana
Jnananjana Shalakaya.
Jananyan Shalakya
Chakshurunmilitam Yena.
Chakshur Anmilitam Yena
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Tashmai Shri Gurave Namaha
Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam.
Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam
Sthapitam Yena Bhutale.
Stapitam Yena Bhutale
Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam.
Swayam Rupa Kada Mahiyam
Dadati Swapadantikam.
Dadati Svapadatikam
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri
Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha.
Yuta Patakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha
Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam.
Shri Rupam Sagrajatam
Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam.
Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Ham Sajivam
Sadvaitam Savadhutam.
Sadvaitam Savadutam
Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam.
Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam
Shri Radha Krishna Padan.
Shri Radha Krishna Padan
Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha.
Sahagana Lalita Shri Kanvitamscha.
रिबोल। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो
Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu
दीनबंधो जगतपते
Dina Bandho Jagatpate
गोपेश गोपिका कांत
Gopesha Gopika Kanta
राधा कांत नमोस्तुते।
Radha Kanta Namostute
तप्त कांचन गौरांगी
Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi
राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी
Radhe Vrindavaneshwari
वृषभानुसुते देवी
Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi
प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये।
Pranamam Hari Priye
वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च
Vansha Kalpa Tarubhyascha
कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च
Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो
Patitanam Pavebhyo
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha.
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya
प्रभु नित्यानंद
Prabhu Nityananda
श्री अद्वैत गदाधार
Shri Advaita Gadadhar
श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद
Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
हरे कृष्णा
Hare Krishna
कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
हरे राम
Hare Ram Hare Rama
राम राम हरे हरे।
Ram Ram Hare Hare.
Now you practice this, Prabhu.
Oh,
Haribo.
Reward. So now
Wait, what's that called? The
this is
prayers?
called Mangalacharan prayers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the translations are also here in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, so you can always check it out. But yeah, please practice this. It's very nice. It's a very good prayer to know by heart. Um, especially this one. Vansha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha paritanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone just like desire trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Okay?
Okay.
Haribol, please start, Prabhu.
Okay. King, how do you say it? Parikshit?
Yes, Parikshit.
Parikshit inquired from Sukadev Goswami about a very important topic in understanding transcendental subject matter. His question was, since Vedic knowledge generally deals with the subject matter of the three qualities in the material world, how then can they approach the subject matter of transcendentance, which is beyond the approach of the three material modes? Since the mind is material and the vibration of words is a material sound, how can the Vedic knowledge expressing by material sound the thoughts of the mind approach transcendentance? Description of a subject matter necessitates describing its source of emanation, its qualities, and its activities. Such description can be possible only by thinking with the material mind and by vibrating material words. Although Brahman or the absolute truth has no material qualities, our power of speaking does not go beyond the material qualities. How then can Brahman, the absolute truth, be described by your words? I do not see how it is possible to understand transcendentance from such expressions of material sound. The purpose of King Parikshit's inquiring was to ascertain from Sukadev Goswami whether the Vedas ultimately describe the absolute truth as impersonal or as personal. Understanding of the absolute truth progresses in three features: impersonal Brahman, Paramatma, localized in everyone's heart, and at last the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. The Vedas deal with three departments of activities. One is called Karma Kanda, or activities under Vedic injunction, which gradually purify one to understand his real position. The next is Jnan Kanda, the process of understanding the absolute truth by speculative methods, and the third is Upashan Kanda, or worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and sometimes of the demigods also. The worship of the demigods recommended in the Vedas is ordered with the understanding of the demigods. Relationship to the personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has many parts and parcels. Some are called Shvamsas, or his personal expansions, and some are called Vibhinamshas, the living entities. All such expansions, both Shvamshas and Vibhinamshas, are emanations from the original personality of Godhead. Shvamsa expansions are called Vishnu Tattva, whereas the Vibhinamsha expansions are called Jiva Tattva. The different demigods are Jiva Tattva. The conditioned souls are generally put into the activities of the material world for sense gratification. Therefore, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, to regulate those who are very much addicted to different kinds of sense gratification, the worship of demigods is sometimes recommended. For example, persons who are very much addicted to meat eating, the Vedic injunction recommends that after worshipping the form of the goddess Kali and sacrificing a goat, not any other animal, under Karma Kanda regulation, the worshippers may be allowed to eat meat. The idea is not to encourage one to eat meat, but to allow one who is persistent to eat meat under certain restricted conditions. Therefore, worship of the demigods is not worship of the absolute truth. But by worshiping the demigods, one gradually comes to accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead in an indirect way. This indirect acceptance is described in the Bhagavad Gita as avidhi. Avidhi means not bona fide. Since demigod worship is not bona fide, the impersonalists stress concentration on the impersonal feature of the absolute truth. King Parikshit's question was, which is the ultimate target of Vedic knowledge? This concentration on the impersonal feature of the absolute truth, or concentration on the personal feature? After all, both the impersonal and personal features of the Supreme Lord are beyond our material conception. The impersonal feature of the Absolute, the Brahman effulgence, is but the rays of the personal body of Krishna. These rays of the personal body of Krishna are cast all over the creation of the Lord, and the portion of the effulgence which is covered by the material cloud is called the created cosmos of the three material qualities, sattva, rajas, and tamas. How can persons who are within this clouded portion called the material world conceive of the absolute truth by the speculative method? In answering King Parikshit's question, Sukadev Goswami replied that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has created the mind, senses, and living force for the purpose of sense gratification in transmigration from one kind of body to another, as well as for the purpose of allowing liberation from the material conditions. In other words, the senses, mind, and living force can be utilized for sense gratification and transmigration from one body to another, or for the matter of liberation. The Vedic injunctions are there just to give the conditioned souls the chance for sense gratification under regulative principles, and thereby also give them the chance for promotion to higher conditions of life. Ultimately, if the consciousness is purified, one comes to his original position and goes back home, back to Godhead. The living force is intelligent. One therefore has to utilize his intelligence over the mind and the senses. When the mind and the senses are purified by the proper use of intelligence, then the conditioned soul is liberated. Otherwise, if the intelligence is not properly utilized in controlling the senses and mind, the conditioned soul continues to transmigrate from one kind of body to another simply for sense gratification. Another point clearly stated in the answer of Shukadev Goswami is that the Lord created the mind, the senses, and intelligence of the individual living force. It is not stated that the living entities themselves were ever created. Just as the shining particles of the sun rays are always existing along with the sun, the living entities exist eternally as parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The conditioned souls, although externally existing as part of the Supreme Lord, are sometimes put in within the cloud of material concept of life, in the mode of in the darkness of ignorance. The whole Vedic process is to alleviate the darkened condition. Ultimately, when the senses and the mind of the conditioned being become fully purified, he then comes to the original position called Krishna consciousness, and that is liberation. In the Vedanta Sutra, the first sutra or code questions about the absolute truth. Atato Brahma Jinasa. What is the nature of the absolute truth? The next sutra answers the nature of the absolute truth is that he is the origin of everything. Whether we experience even in this material condition of life is but an emanation from him. The absolute truth created the mind and senses and intelligence. This means that the absolute truth is not without mind, intelligence, and senses. In other words, he is not impersonal. The very word created means that he has transcendental intelligence. For example, when the father begets a child, the child has senses because the father also has senses. The child is born with hands and legs because the father also has hands and legs. Sometimes it is said, therefore, that man is made after the image of God. The absolute truth is therefore the Supreme Personality with transcendental mind, senses, and intelligence. When one's mind, intelligence, and senses are purified of material contamination, one can understand the original feature of the absolute truth as a person. The Vedic process is to gradually promote the conditioned soul from the mode of ignorance to the mode of passion and from the mode of passion to the mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, there is sufficient light for understanding things as they are. For example, from earth a tree grows, and from the wood of the tree fire is ignited. In that igniting process, we first of all find the smoke, and the next stage we first of all find the smoke, and the next stage is heat, and then fire. When there's actually fire, we can utilize it for various purposes. Therefore, fire is the ultimate goal. Similarly, in the gross material stage of life, the quality of ignorance is very much prominent. Dissipation of this ignorance takes place in the gradual process of civilization from the barbarian stage to civilized life. And when one comes to the form of civilized life, he is said to be in the mode of passion. In the barbarian stage or in the mode of ignorance, the senses are gratified in every crude way, whereas in the mode of passion or in the civilized stage of life, the senses are gratified in a polished manner. But when one is promoted to the mode of goodness, one can understand that the senses and the mind are only engaged in material activities due to being covered by perverted consciousness. When this perverted consciousness is gradually transformed into Krishna consciousness, then the path of liberation is open. So it is not that one is unable to approach the absolute truth by the senses and the mind. The conclusion is rather that the senses, mind, and intelligence in the gross stage of contamination cannot appreciate the nature of the absolute truth. But when purified, the senses, mind, and intelligence can understand what the absolute truth is. This purified process is called devotional service or Krishna consciousness.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for reading, Prabhu. Anyone would like to continue?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu, you can continue.
You'd like to continue, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Dandat Pranam, Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, dear Pranjal Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for joining the reading session.
I think Prabhu is coming from more transcendental.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, Prabhu. Sorry, what, Prabhu? I didn't hear.
I think Prabhu is coming from Gopal Prabhu's meeting.
Okay, he's coming from Subal Prabhu's meeting. Okay, okay.
Sundar
Okay.
Prabhu.
Sundar Gopal Prabhu. Okay, sorry.
They had 1,000 programs today.
Oh, nice. Haribol.
Hmm. 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 Yes, bro. I can continue. Hmm. In the Bhagavad in the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that the purpose of okay, Vedic knowledge is to understand Krishna, and Krishna is understood by devotional service, beginning with the process of surrender. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, one has to think of Krishna always. One has to render loving service to the Krishna always, and one has to always worship and bow down before Krishna. By this process only can one enter into the kingdom of God without any doubt. When one is enlightened in the mode of goodness by the process of devotion service, he is freed from the modes of ignorance and passion. The word Atmani indicates the stage of Brahminical qualification in which one is allowed to study the Vedic literatures known as the Upanishads. The Upanishads describes in different ways the transcendental qualities of the Supreme Lord, the absolute truth. The Supreme Lord is called Nirguna. That does not mean that he has no qualities. It is only because he has qualities that the conditioned living entities can have qualities. Qualities. The pure. Sorry. The purpose of studying the Upanishads is to understand the transcendental quality of the absolute truth, as opposed to the material qualities of ignorance, passion, and goodness. The way of Vedic understanding. Great sages like the four Kumaras headed by Sanaka, Sanaka followed these principles of Vedic knowledge and came gradually from impersonal understanding to the platform of personal worship of the Supreme Lord. It is therefore recommended that we must follow the great personalities. Sukadev Goswami is also one of the great personalities, and his answer to the inquiry of Maharaj Parikshit is authorized. One who follows in the footsteps of such great personalities surely walks very easily on the path of liberation and ultimately goes back to home, back to Godhead. That is the way of perfecting this human form of life. Sukadev Goswami continued to speak to Parikshit Maharaj, my dear king. He said, I will narrate in this regard a nice story. This story is important because it is in connection with Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then this narration is a conversation between Narayana Rishi and the great sage Narada. Narayana Rishi still resides in Badrikashrama in the Himalayan hills, and he is accepted as the incarnation of Narayana. Once when Narada, the great devotee and ascetic amongst the demigods, was where is it? Traveling in different planets, he desired to personally meet the ascetic Narayana in Badrikashrama and offer him his respects. This great sage in sorry, this great sage incarnation of Godhead Narayana Rishi has been undergoing great penances and austerities from the very beginning of the creation in order to teach the inhabitants of Bharatavarsha how to attain the highest perfectional stage of going back to Godhead. His austerities and penances are an exemplary practice for the human being. Badrikashrama is situated in the northernmost part of the Himalayan mountains and is always covered with snow. Religious Indians still go to visit this place during the summer season when the snowfall is not very severe. Once the incarnation of God, Narayana Rishi, one way to Narayana Rishi was sitting amongst many devotees in the village known as Kalpa Kalpara Kalpagrama of of
Kalapagram. Kalapagram.
Kalpagram. Of course, these were not ordinary sages who were sitting with him, and the great sage Narada also appeared there. After offering his respects to Narayana Rishi, Narada asked him exactly the same question asked by Parikshit Maharaj of Parikshit of Sukadev Goswami. When Narada asked his question of Narayana Rishi, the Rishi also answered by following in the footsteps of his predecessors. 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 He narrated a story of how the same question had been discussed on the planet known as Janaloka. Janaloka is above the Svargaloka planets such as the Moon, Venus, etc. In this planet, great sage and saintly persons live, and they were also discussing the same point regarding the understanding of Brahman and his real identity. The great sage Narayana began to speak. My dear Narada, he said, I will tell you a story which took place long, long ago. There were there was a great meeting of the denizens of the heavenly planets, and almost all the important brahmacharis, such as the four Kumaras, Sanandana, Sanaka, and Sanatana Kumara, attended. This discussion was on the subject matter of understanding the absolute truth, Brahman, who were not present at that meeting because you went to see my expansion. Uh, Aniruddha, who lives on the island of uh, Shvetadvipa. In this meeting, all the great sages and brahmacharis very elaborately discussed the point about which you have asked me, and it was very interesting. The decision, I'm sorry, discussions was so delicate that even the Vedas were unable to answer the intricate questions arised. Narayana Rishi told Narada Ji the same questions which Narada Ji had raised had been discussed in that meeting in Janaloka. This is the way of understanding through the parampara or disciplic successions. Maharaj Parikshit was sent to Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami referred the matter to Narada, who had in the same way questioned Narayana Rishi, who had put the matter to still higher authorities in the planet of Janaloka, where it was discussed among the great Kumara, Sanatana, Sanaka, Kumara, and Sanandana. These four brahmacharis are recognized scholars in the Vedas and Shastras. Their unlimited volumes of knowledge back, backed by where is it? Okay. Backed by austerities and penances are exhibited by their sublime ideal character. They are very amiable and
Amiable.
gentle, amiable, sorry, bro, amiable, okay, and gentle in behavior. And for them, there is no distinction between friends, well-wishers, and enemies. Being transcendently situated, such personalities as the Kumaras are above all material considerations and are always neutral in respect to material qualities. In the discussions held among the four brothers, one of them, namely Sanandana, was selected to speak, and the other brothers became the audience to hear him.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. I'll continue reading from here. Sanandan said, after the dissolution of the whole cosmic manifestation, the entire energy and the whole creation in its nucleus form enters into the body of Garbhodakshay Vishnu. The Lord at that time remains asleep for a long, long time, and where there is again necessity of creation, the Vedas personified assemble around the Lord and begin to glorify him, describing his wonderful transcendental pastimes. It is exactly like a king when he is asleep in the morning. The appointed reciters come around his bed and begin to sing of his chivalrous activities, and while hearing of his glorious activities, the king gradually awakens. The Vedic reciters or the personified Vedas sing thus: O conquerable, O unconquerable, you are the supreme personality. No one is equal to you or greater than you. No one can be more glorious in his activities. All glory is unto you. All glory is unto you. By your own transcendental nature, you fully possess all six opulences. As such, you are able to deliver all conditioned souls from the clutches of Maya. O Lord, we fervently pray that you will kindly do so. All the living entities, being your parts and parcels, are naturally joyful, eternal, and full of knowledge. But due to their own faults, they try to imitate you by trying to become the supreme enjoyer. Thus, they disobey your supremacy and become offenders. And because of their offenses, your material energy has taken charge of them. Thus, their transcendental qualities of joyfulness, bliss, and wisdom have been covered by the clouds of the three material qualities. This cosmic manifestation, made up of three modes of material nature, the three material qualities, is just like a prison house for the conditioned souls. The conditioned souls are struggling very hard to escape from the material bondage, and according to their different conditions of life, they have been given different types of engagement. But all engagements are based on your knowledge. Pious activities can be executed only when inspired by your mercy. Therefore, without taking shelter at your lotus feet, one cannot surpass the influence of material energy. Actually, we, as personified Vedic knowledge, are always engaged in your service to help the conditioned soul understand you. This prayer of the Vedas personified illustrates that the Vedas are meant for helping the conditioned soul to understand Krishna. All the Shrutis or personified Vedas offered glories to the Lord again and again, singing Jai, Jai. This indicates that the Lord is praised for his glories. Of all his glories, the most important is his causes mercy upon the conditioned souls in reclaiming them from the clutches of Maya. There are unlimited numbers of living entities in different varieties of bodies, some moving and some standing in one place. And the conditioned life of these living entities is due only to their forgetfulness of their eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When the living entity wants to lord it over the material energy by imitating the position of Krishna, he is immediately captured by the material energy, and according to his desire, is offered a variety of 8,400,000 different kinds of bodies. Although undergoing the threefold miseries of material existence, the illusion living entity falsely thinks himself the master of all he surveys. Under the spell of the material energy, which represents the threefold material qualities, the living entity is so entangled that it is not at all possible for him to become free unless he is graced by the Supreme Lord. The living entity cannot conquer the influence of the material modes of nature by his own endeavor, but because material nature is working under the control of the Supreme Lord, the Lord is beyond its jurisdiction. Except for him, all living entities, beginning from Brahma down to an ant, are conquered by the contact of material nature. Because he possesses in full the six opulences of wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation, the Lord alone is beyond the spell of material nature. Unless the living entity is situated in Krishna consciousness, he cannot approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet the Lord, by his omnipotency, can dictate from within as the Supersoul. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord advises, whatever you do for me. Whatever you eat, first of all, offer to me. Whatever charity you want to give, first give to me. And whatever austerities and penances you want to perform, perform for me. In this way, the karmis are directed to gradually develop Krishna consciousness. Similarly, Krishna directs the philosophers to approach him gradually by discriminating between Brahman and Maya. At last, when one is mature in knowledge, he surrenders unto Krishna. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, after many, many births, the wise philosopher surrenders unto me. The yogis are also directed to concentrate their meditation upon Krishna within the heart, and by such continued process of Krishna consciousness, the yogi can become free from the clutches of material energy. But as is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, because the devotees are engaged in devotional service with love and affection from the very beginning, the Lord directs them so that they can approach him without difficulty or deviation. Only by the grace of the Lord can the living entity understand the exact position of Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. The statements of the personified Vedas give clear evidence that the Vedic literature is presented only for understanding Krishna. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that through all the Vedas, it is Krishna alone who has to be understood. Krishna is always enjoying, either in the material world or in the spiritual world. Because he is the supreme enjoyer, for him there is no distinction between the material world and spiritual worlds. The material world is an impediment for the ordinary living entities because they are under its control. But Krishna, being the controller of the material world, has nothing to do with the impediments it offers. Therefore, in different parts of the Upanishads, the Vedas declare Brahman is eternal, full of all knowledge and all bliss, but the one supreme personality of Godhead is existing in the heart of every living entity. Because of his all pervasiveness, he is able to enter not only into the hearts of the living entities, but even into the atoms also. As the super soul, he is the controller of all activities of the living entities. He is living within all of them and witnessing their actions, allowing them to act according to their desires, and also giving them the results of their different activities. He is the living force of all things, but still he is transcendental to the material qualities. He is omnipotent. He is expert in manufacturing everything, and on account of his superior natural knowledge, he can bring everyone under his control. As such, he is everyone's master. He is sometimes manifest on the surface of the globe, but he is simultaneously within all matter. Desiring to expand himself in multi forms, he glanced over the material energy, and thus innumerable living entities became manifest. Everything is created by his superior energy, and everything in his creation appears to be perfectly done without deficiency. Those who aspire for liberation from this material world must therefore worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate cause of all causes. He is just like the total mass of earth, from which varieties of earthly pots are manufactured. The pots are made of earthly clay. They rest on the earth, and after being destroyed, their elements ultimately merge back into earth. Although the personality of Godhead is the original cause of all varieties of manifestation, the impersonalists especially stress the Vedic statement Sarvang Khalvidam Brahma. Everything is Brahman. The impersonalists do not take into account the varieties of manifestation emanating from the supreme cause of Brahman. They simply take into consideration that everything emanates from Brahman and after destruction merges into Brahman, and that the intermediate stage of manifestation is also Brahman. Although the Mayavadis believe that prior to its manifestation, the cosmos was in Brahman, after creation it remains in Brahman, and after destruction it merges into Brahman, they do not know what Brahman is. This fact is clearly described in the Brahma Samhita. The living entities, space, time, and the material elements like fire, earth, sky, water, and mind constitute the total cosmic manifestation known as Bhur Bhuva Swaha, which is manifested by Govinda. It flourishes on the strength of Govinda, and after annihilation, it enters into and is conserved in Govinda. Lord Brahma therefore says, I worship Lord Govinda, the original personality, the cause of all causes. The word Brahman indicates the greatest of all and the maintainer of everything. The impersonalists are attracted by the greatness of the sky, but because of their poor fund of knowledge, they are not attracted by the greatness of Krishna. In our practical life, however, we are attracted by the greatness of a person and not by the greatness of a big mountain. Actually, the term Brahman can be applied to Krishna only. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjun admitted that Lord Krishna is the Param Brahman, or the supreme rest of everything. Krishna is the supreme Brahman because of his unlimited knowledge, unlimited potencies, unlimited strengths, unlimited influence, unlimited beauty, and unlimited renunciation. Therefore, the word Brahman can be applied to Krishna only. Arjun affirms that because the impersonal Brahman is the effulgence emanating as rays of Krishna's transcendental body, Krishna is the Param Brahman. Everything is resting on Brahman, but Brahman itself is resting on Krishna. Therefore, Krishna is the ultimate Brahman or Param Brahman. The material elements are accepted as inferior energies of Krishna because by their interaction, the cosmic manifestation takes place, rests on Krishna, and after dissolution again enters into the body of Krishna as his subtle energy. Krishna is therefore the cause of both manifestation and dissolution. Sarvang Khalvidam Brahma means everything is Krishna, and that is the vision of the Mahabhagavatas. They see everything in relation to Krishna. The impersonalists argue that Krishna has transformed himself into many, and that therefore everything is Krishna and worship of everything is worship of him. This false argument is answered by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Although everything is a transformation of the energy of Krishna, he is not present everywhere. He is simultaneously present and not present. By his energy, he is present everywhere, but as the energetic, he is not present everywhere. This simultaneous presence and non-presence is inconceivable to our present senses, but a clear explanation is given in the beginning of the Ishopanishad, in which it is stated that the Supreme Lord is so complete that although unlimited energies and their transformations are emanating from Krishna, Krishna's personality is not in the least bit transformed. Therefore, since Krishna is the cause of all causes, intelligent persons should take shelter of his lotus feet. Krishna advises everyone just to surrender unto him alone, and that is the way of Vedic instruction. Since Krishna is the cause of all causes, he is worshipped by all kinds of sages and saints by observance of the regulative principles. When there is a necessity for meditation, great personalities meditate on the transcendental form of Krishna within the heart. In this way, the minds of great personalities are always engaged in Krishna. With minds engaged in Krishna, naturally the captivated devotees simply talk of Krishna. Talking of Krishna or singing of Krishna is called Kirtan. Lord Chaitanya also recommends Kirtanya Sada Hari, which means always thinking and talking of Krishna and nothing else. That is called Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is so sublime that anyone who takes to this process is elevated to the highest perfection of life, far, far beyond the concept of liberation. In the Bhagavad Gita, therefore, Krishna advises everyone to always think of him, render devotional service to him, worship him, and offer obeisances to him. In this way, a devotee becomes fully Krishnized and, being always situated in Krishna consciousness, ultimately goes back to Krishna. Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Who would like to continue?
Oh, we go. How many pages we have read?
So, 10 pages, Prabhu.
Yes, okay.
Anyone? Oh, okay, so Rebbe Prabhu left.
Then I can read if Jordan Prabhu.
Sammy Prabhu, do you want to read?
No, Prabhu, I can't yet. I need to do this thing.
Okay, Vivek Prabhu, you can continue reading, please. Vivek Prabhu, are you there?
Oh, sorry.
Yes, you can continue reading.
Yes, true. Although the Vedas have recommended worship of different demigods as different parts and parcels of Krishna, it is to be understood that such instructions are meant for the less intelligent class of men who are still attracted by material sense enjoyment, but the person who actually wants perfect fulfillment of the mission of human life should simply worship Lord Krishna, and that will simplify the matter and completely guarantee the success of his human life. Although the sky, the water, and the land are all part and parcel of the material world. When one stands on the solid land, his position is more secure than when he stands in the sky or the water. An intelligent person, therefore, does not stand under the protection of different demigods, although they are part and parcel of the part, part and parcel of Krishna. Rather, he stands on the solid ground of Krishna consciousness that makes his position sound and secure. Impersonalists sometimes give the example that if one stands on a stone or a piece of wood, one certainly stands on the surface of the land. Because the stone and wood are both resting on the surface of the earth, but it may be replied that if one stands directly on the surface of the earth, he is more secure than on the wood or stone which are resting on the earth. In other words, taking shelter of Paramatma or taking shelter of in-person Brahman is not as secure a course as taking direct shelter of Krishna in Krishna consciousness. The position of the jnanis and yogis is therefore not as secure as the position of the devotees of Krishna. Lord Krishna has therefore advised in the Bhagavad Gita that only a person who has lost his senses takes to the worship of demigods, and regarding persons who are attached to the in-person Brahman, the Srimad Bhagavatam says, okay, and regarding persons who are attached to the in-person Brahman, the Bhagavatam says, my dear Lord, those who are thinking of themselves as liberated by mental speculation and not yet purified of the condemnation of material nature because of their inability to find the shelter of your lotus feet, although they rise to the transcendental situation of existence in personal Brahman, they certainly fall from the exalted position because they have neglected to desire your lotus feet. Lord Krishna therefore advises that the worshippers of the demigods are not very intelligent persons because they drive only temporary, inexhaustible results. Their endeavor are those of less intelligent men. But the Lord assures that his devotee has no fear of falling. The personified Vedas continue to pray Dear Lord, considering all points of view, if one has to worship someone superior to him, then just out of good behavior, one should stick to the worship of your lotus feet, because you are the ultimate controller of creation, maintenance, and dissolution. You are the controller of the three worlds, Bhuvar, and Swar. You are the controller of the 14 upper and lower worlds, and you are the controller of the three material qualities. Demigods and persons advanced in spiritual knowledge are always engaged in hearing and chanting about your transcendental past tense, because this has the specific potency of nullifying the accumulated results of sinful life. Intelligent persons factually take a dip in the ocean of your nectarian activities and very patiently hear of them. Thus, they immediately became free from the contamination of the material qualities. They do not have to undergo severe penances and austerities for the advancement of spiritual life. This chanting and hearing of your transcendental pastimes is the easiest process for self-realization. Simply by a submissive oral reception of the uh, transcendental message, one's heart becomes cleansed of all dirty things. Those Krishna consciousness becomes fixed in the heart of a devotee. And the great authority Bhishma Deva has also given the opinion that this process of chanting and hearing about the glory, about the supreme personality of Godhead, is the essence of all Vedic ritualistic performances. Dear Lord, the devotee who wants to elevate himself simply by this process of devotional activities, especially by hearing and chanting, very soon comes out of the clutches of the dualities of material existence. But this simple process of penances and austerities, the super soul within the devotee's heart becomes very pleased and di- gives the devotee direction so that he may go back to back to God. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that one who engages all his activities and senses in the devotion service of the Lord becomes completely pacified, because the super soul is satisfied with him. Thus, the devotee becomes transcendental to all kinds of dualities, such as heat and cold, honor and dishonor. Being freed from all dualities, he feels transcendental bliss, and he no longer suffers cares and anxiety due to material existence. The Bhagavad Gita confirms that the devotee who is always absorbed in the Krishna consciousness has no anxiety for his maintenance or protection. Being being constantly absorbed in Krishna consciousness, he ultimately achieves the highest perfection. Well, in the material existence, he lives very peacefully and blissfully, without any cares and anxieties. And after quitting this body, he goes back to home, back to God. And the Lord confirms in Bhagavad Gita, my dear abode is, my dear, sorry. Bhagavad Gita, my supreme abode is a transcendental place where going no one returns to this material world. Anyone who attains the supreme perfection, being engaged in my personal devotion service in the eternal abode, reaching the highest perfection of human life, and doesn't have to come back again to the miserable material world. My dear Lord, it is imperative that the living entities being engaged in the Krishna consciousness always rendering devotion service by prescribed methods such as hearing and chanting, the chanting and executing your orders. If a person is not engaged in Krishna consciousness and devotion service, it is useless for him to exhibit the symptoms of life. Generally, it is accepted that if a person is breathing in, he is alive, but a person without Krishna consciousness may be compared to be a bellows in a blacksmith shop. The big bellows is a bag of skin which exhales and inhales hair, and a human being who is simply living within the bag of skin and bones without taking to Krishna consciousness and loving devotion service is no better than the bellows. Thank you. Similarly, non-devotee's long duration of life is compared to the long existence of a tree. His virtuous eating capacity is compared to the eating of the dogs and hogs, and his enjoyment in sex life is compared to that of hogs and goats.
Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Oh, thank you so much, Prabhu. Okay, I think now we can go to six Astakam prayers.
Yep.
But remember the page, Prabhu. Put that note.
Yes. Yes, Prabhu, I remember. So we started on page 275 of the PDF file and we ended at 287.
Yes,
250, no? Bro, I seen 250. So like that.
Okay, who would like to start?
my mic open.
Yes, Prabhu, it's open.
चेतोदर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयः कैरवचन्द्रिका वितरणं जीवनम् आनन्दं बुद्धिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतस्वादनं सर्वात्मा स्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम्
नाम्नामकारि बहुधा निज सर्वशक्तिस्तत्रार्पिता नियमितः स्मरणेन कालः एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन्ममापि दुर्दैवमीदृशमयः जनिनानुरागः
तृणादपि सुनिचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुनः मानेन मानदेन कीर्तनज्ञा सदा हरि
न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितां जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवताद्भक्तरहितुकी त्वयि अनिनन्दतनुजा किङ्करं पतितं वां विषमे भवाम्बुधौ कृपया तव पादपङ्कज स्थितधूलिसदृशं विचिन्तय
वदनं गद्गदा हृदया गिरा पुलकार्निशदा नामग्रहणे भविष्यति
हितं निमेषेण चक्षुष्वा प्रावेशाहितं शून्याहितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दं विरहेण मे
आश्लिष्य वा पादरतां पिनष्टु माम् अदर्शनान्मर्महतां करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विदधातु लम्पटो मत्प्राणनाथस्तु स एव नापरः हरि बोल जय श्री गोपाल Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated births and deaths. The Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benedictions to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
My board.
One should chant the holy name of in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth.
O son of Maharaj Nanda, Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet.
O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name?
Oh Govinda, feeling your separations, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence.
I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Hare Krishna, Shri Shikshashtakam ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Now for the 10 offenses.
Thank you. Haribol.
Haribol.
To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord.
To consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal or independent of the name of the Lord Vishnu.
To disobey the order of the spiritual master or consider him as an ordinary person.
To blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or the scriptures which is the perseverance, which is the Vedic version, like that.
To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination.
To give some interpretations to the holy name of the Lord.
To,
To commit sinful activities on the
no,
strength of
to
the holy
commit,
name.
to consider chanting of Hare Krishna to as in one of the specious ritualistic activities which are the offered in the Veda as fruitive activities Karmakanda.
To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name.
To not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnav must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna Prema. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari
Hare
Bol.
Krishna, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Guys,
Yes, Prabhu, had today